play at Wembley with all its tradition and glamour is the ambition of every footballer, especially in the FA Cup final. Stoke City, in the early 70s, battled their way to 2 successive semi-finals, where they faced Arsenal on both occasions. Although the end results were disappointing for Stoke, the games were a magnificent advert for football, so sit back and enjoy some more magical moments. Stoke City in 1971 was still building up the side that was to be ultimately successful and attractive. They arrived at the semi-final stage having disposed of Millwall, Huddersfield after 3 games, Ipswich after a replay, and then Hull City. Their opponents, Arsenal, were having a fantastic season, and their star-studded side of internationals was heading for a famous league and cup double. Now, let's go over to Hillsborough and join the action.
For this one, Arsenal against Stoke. Those fellas up there are the Arsenal supporters at that end of the ground. And first of all, let's have a look at the Arsenal team for this semi-final. And Arsenal were unchanged as expected. The only thing that needed settling was the substitute, and John Samuels gets that place instead of Eddie Kelly. A semi-final with 2 great goalkeepers. For Arsenal, of course, Bob Wilson, a man who somehow epitomises the unspectacular yet reliable qualities of Arsenal. As for Stoke City, something of a surprise to find Mahoney brought in at 7, Greenoff takes the 4 shirt, Skeels goes back to 2, and fullback Marsh becomes the sub. But if Arsenal have Bob Wilson, Stoke have Gordon Banks, their skipper and the world's #1. The crowd is 55,000 strong. They've paid £80,000 for this one. The referee, Pat Partridge of Middlesbrough.
So Stoke get this semi-final away, defending the goal to our right, all in white. And a match I suppose you can quite properly call Stoke's most important of the century, when you think that they've never yet played in a final, and only in 1 semi-final, and that was in 1899. So vital for Arsenal, of course. It'll be interesting to see how they cope early on with Stoke, having lost to Stoke in the league 5-0, and of course beaten in Cologne in midweek. Pejic. Oh, and Charlie George, a nice little tap there for George Armstrong, and Banks, who is bound to dominate that area. Stoke skipper. Charlie George to Peter Storey. Shrugging off the challenge of Burrows. Quite big enough to look after himself is Storey, and now it's Pat Rice. Storey pleading for the ball behind him again. Now Charlie George. Radford. Cut out again by Stoke City, Mahoney, and Bernard not getting it, and the ball going through to Conroy, who hesitated for a moment, thinking that the whistle was about to go, regaining his composure and finding Burrows. Mahoney's made a run forward, and a good-looking run it is, but McClintock covering once more for the Arsenal, and the corner going to Stoke City. The first of the game. Anxious men now in that Arsenal goal mouth. Burrows to take it. He'll look for Ritchie. Conroy in the 6-yard area. And a low one. And my goodness! By Bernard, that was only just wide. Blur, in fact, who very nearly put Arsenal behind, is sticking out his foot there. It couldn't have been more than a foot wide of that Arsenal post. George Graham. Eric Skeels to Conroy. Oh, taken by George Graham. And he's got Radford on his left, and he's got Kennedy up with him. He Had but known it, the better pass was probably out to Radford, who was unmarked down the left. And now a long ball that sends John Ritchie away. He's shoved off McClintock. And a shot there, just past the post, by Jimmy Greenhoff. A really thundering break there by Stoke City, that long ball out of defence. Ritchie shaking off McClintock, and Greenhoff just fractionally wide. Radford, a good back header. Skeels back to Banks. And now Pejic. And a bad one by Pejic. Straight into touch for the throw to the Arsenal. And it'll be Story to take it. Kennedy. It was a nice turn inside by Kennedy, but Mahoney got there before George Graham. McNabb putting it straight to Conroy. Burrows on the outside for him, and Greenhoff too. Rice coming across to cover for the Arsenal. Still Greenhoff. Oh, he made a bit of space for himself there, Greenhoff. And Bob Wilson at full stretch with Ritchie behind him. Good work by Wilson. He didn't panic. He judged that to a nicety. There really was so little to spare with Ritchie behind him and poised. And brilliant work by the number 4 in the front of the picture there by Jimmy Greenhoff, who made such a good angle for himself. So a corner to Stoke. Burrows, who takes them from both sides. Low one against Smith, getting in. Conroy there as well. And Story! Oh, against it is him! Oh, an absolutely freak goal! And it puts Stoke into the lead. That might have come off any one of 5 players. And it looks as though Dennis Smith is the one who is being credited with it so far as Stoke are concerned. But what a freak goal. Well, it's certainly by the way that the Stoke players were pummeling him that they give the credit to Dennis Smith. But that really is something that can only be established in the dressing room afterwards. Rice. And now McClintock. Oh, McClintock going on and stopped. Now Conroy. That's really put Arsenal under pressure. Conroy aiming to add to it. Bernard, a nice little flick there. A lot of confidence now about Stoke, as you would expect. Mahoney to Skeels. Now Conroy. Really swinging it about a bit now, Stoke. Oh, and away goes Conroy again. To blast it! Oh! Into that side netting. Beautiful jinking play there by Conroy, and a good measured build-up by Stoke. Now by Bloor on Radford. And Arsenal's free kick. Taken quickly, in fact, by George Graham. Pat Rice now, floating another one. Radford to look for it, and Smith getting up. Skeels to complete the clearance, but only as far as McNabb. Oh, now Kennedy. Can Kennedy turn it? Oh, great work by Banks. Oh, and he's almost lost it. And the whistle had gone. It must have been kicked out of his hands unfairly. Tremendous reactions, though, by Gordon Banks getting down so quickly on that one. A real daunting prospect for the Arsenal, really, when they're this goal down. A freak goal, to be sure. And now they've got to beat this man, the world's #1. So Banks with the free kick for Stoke City. Oh, straight off Radford. Are we going to get another strange goal? George Graham to Charlie George. Turned on nicely there for Radford. A little lucky there. And now Story. Oh, hammering it though. Kennedy. Oh, just past. And Banks coming out to remonstrate with Pat Partridge. Probably more out of relief than anger. And now we have Armstrong with another corner then for the Arsenal. Radford jumping for it, getting it with his head. And Banks. Burrows. Played wide there, and a good one by Burrows, and finding Conroy. Perfectly fair challenge by Story, although the crowd don't think so. Oh, and Conroy doing stupid things there, kicking at Story well after the ball had gone. Getting a talking to from referee Pat Partridge, and perhaps a little lucky not to get more. It'll be Arsenal's free kick. And it'll be Peter Simpson with it. Radford again coming for it. Radford looking very lively this afternoon. Charlie George. Now it's Eric Skeels for Stoke City. Played coolly across his penalty area to Bloor. Mahoney. Greenoff finding Burrows. Mahoney again. Played nicely inside there for Greenoff, who turns it in again. McNabb. Kennedy. Graham. And Simpson away. Bloor to Pedgick. Harry Burrows. Oh, a nice little flick on there. Simpson as cool as you like. Oh, Charlie George! This is the chance! Ritchie! And 2-0! Charlie George's back pass! And Arsenal, disaster for him! And it could well be disaster now for Arsenal. Ritchie, the simplest of goals. Well, you can legislate for almost anything, it seems, these days, but not for the human touch and the human error. And Charlie George, alas for Arsenal, has presented Stoke with their second goal. Well, now it does become a truly formidable task for the Arsenal. Stoke growing in confidence with every moment. And 2 goals to the good. Free kick then to the Arsenal. On earth must be going on now. With the free kick, Radford trying to lift it. Just over half an hour gone. And McNabb. Simpson. So easily. Simpson, Mahoney, Conroy. And a foul given against Story on Conroy. And already there must be memories of 5-0 at Stoke in September flooding back into Arsenal minds. 2 down with something like 33 minutes gone. Bernard with the free kick. Ritchie looking for it. Graham to get it away, but only as far as Burrows. Now Skeels. Back for Greenoff. Nice little pass there, Mahoney. Oh, just passed. Good run by Mahoney. And a good perceptive pass by Greenoff. And Stoke continuing to pile it on as Wilson now takes this goal kick for the Arsenal. Rice. And now Charlie George. To Peter Storey. Now to George Gray. McNabb making another run down the left with Scales cutting that out. Conroy. Greenoff. Scales. Scales again. And now Bloor. Mahoney. They are trying to 1-2 there and coming off with Bernard. Mahoney again to Conroy. Good play by Stoke. Mahoney. What a beautiful move by Stoke. Burrows! Oh my goodness, almost there. It was Simpson who nodded that one down. But that was a brilliant build-up again by Stoke City that really had Arsenal. Conroy getting it across. Ritchie poised underneath it. And a free kick given. But falling for McClintock. Oh, McClintock indeed there. He nearly presented Greenoff with it. Avail. Graham. And Scales to put it into touch. Safety first, and Stoke can afford it. 2 up. Simpson. Simpson to Armstrong. Simpson again. And the whistle has gone for half-time. A tragic first half for Arsenal. A freak goal, which I think we must credit to Dennis Smith to put them behind. And then a tragic back pass by Charlie George, which allowed Ritchie to nip in for the second one. So that's the half-time situation in this FA Cup semi-final at Hillsborough. Stoke City 2, Arsenal 0. We shall be back with you with the second half in just a couple of minutes from now. Get us away at the start of the second half. Arsenal, who started this game 9-5 favourites to win the FA Cup, with Stoke the 7-1 outsiders, but now Arsenal with everything to do in this second half. Conroy. I think that Arsenal conceded only 2 goals in their previous 7 games, and in this tragic 45 minutes that's just gone, they've conceded another 2 that might well completely demolish all their Wembley hopes. Stoke themselves were 2 down to Hull City in the last round of the Cup. So if Arsenal can rekindle some of that sort of fire, it may not be lost. Here's Simpson with the free kick for the Arsenal. Radford at the far side, arm aloft. George Graham's gone in there and Charlie George too. George Graham nodding it on. And George Graham again. Radford with a chance! And Radford with another chance over! And in fact, it's John Ritchie who's right down there, inside his 6-yard area, who blocked that first one. Radford really hammered that one, the first one. And so Stoke get the goal kick with Gordon Banks. George Graham. In fact, it's McClintock. Rice. Law finding Conroy. In for Greenough. Beautiful skills by Greenough. And Mahoney away! McClintock hesitated. Mahoney! And straight into Wilson. And George Graham and Peter Storey having a right word with the referee. They felt he should have been given up offside, but he was onside when that ball was played. And Arsenal very nearly hesitated to find themselves really in deeper disaster. It's one or two very good breaks that Mahoney has made, with Greenough reading it so well. It's Skeels now. Stopped by Simpson. Arsenal by no means at the moment doing themselves justice. Law so short. And so it's Arsenal's throw with George Armstrong. Over the head of Stoke. Now Radford and Graham leaping at that far side. And Storey to hammer it! And a goal! And Arsenal back in it! Radford and Graham jumped so beautifully for it, and it finally came out for Storey. There was a ricochet, but Peter Storey really hammered it. Gone. And Kennedy to Armstrong as Arsenal come fighting back. Radford and Smith losing his kick. Oh, and a ricochet there. Or rather a collision between Bloor and Smith. Now Kennedy. Bloor is with him. Well, if Arsenal were going to do anything about it in the second half, they badly wanted to get off on the right foot. And that they've done. Really was a blinding shot by Storey. Kennedy pushed in the back, but he still managed to get it over. And now Burrows. Storey's gone in there like a tiger. Storey, who's made a habit of scoring 77 season. All of them have come from penalties. Mahoney, oh, shouldered off that ball unfairly by George Graham. Burrows to take the free kick. Inside him, but he's got plenty of white shirts in the penalty area to aim for, and claiming that Pat Rice is not 10 yards from the ball. He's going to have to take it though. Pejic. I think he was probably right that Rice wasn't 10 yards off the ball, but he's come through to Pejic, and the referee in fact has stopped the game. And this time he's making sure. Position to the first one, and Pat Partridge is coming across, and Rice could get himself into trouble. Now it is Burrows. Ritchie looking for it, but McClintock getting it away. Now Storey. Bravely getting it out to Kennedy. Charlie George is onside. George is up. Down he goes. Was it inside? No. Linesman in back to the start of this first half, the second half. Simpson. Kennedy in there. McNabb again. Kennedy right up. Oh, off Kennedy's body. And Bloor going in and using his elbow too. So a chance for Arsenal to pile it on again. It's going to be Simpson with it. Played towards George Graham and he couldn't control it. The idea was certainly a good one. It was a variation from the long flighted balls towards the head of Kennedy and Radford. But George Graham couldn't quite control it. Dry keeping his head well. Story. And Smith getting up well for that one for Stoke and finding Conroy. Pejic. Rishi winning that one in the air against Peter Story. Well, that one fell nicely for Story. He was determined enough, and perhaps his determination deserves some reward. George Graham. Says the referee going over the top. With it. Greenoff on. And Greenoff now is a break for Stoke City. McClintock trying to get back. Greenoff over the top. Tremendous break by Greenoff. And so determined are Arsenal to get on with it that Wilson really felt it behind that goal to get it. Kennedy getting up well, but Smith was behind him. Kennedy again. And now a break for Arsenal. And Scales for Stoke. And George is down again. If this goes on, I would think there must be a temptation for Arsenal to bring on Johnson's substitute. Supporters who've come just up the motorway from Stoke, beginning, I suppose, what they would regard as a victory chant already. McClintock there, Frank McClintock organising his men, a tremendous captain this fellow, and in the quarter of an hour that remains he's really got to whip them up for something. Well, the sad sight for Arsenal fans is Charlie George limps off. And John Samuels, the substitute. There's Samuels, number 12, possessor of one of the fiercest shots in the game. And it'll be a drop ball. McNabb and Conroy there between them to fight for it, and it's McNabb who gets it to Armstrong. Now Kennedy. Simpson. George Graham. Greenoff beating Simpson in the air. McClintock behind him. Kennedy leaping once more for the Arsenal, and it'll come out now for George Armstrong, but showing too much of it to Scales. And a throw to the Arsenal. Under a quarter of an hour to go now. Conroy, or McNabb. Oh, well played by McNabb. And they might still go for the Arsenal, no, it won't, because Mahone right back there. Simpson. Going on and on, Simpson. McNabb getting out of his way. A good-looking cross there. And that had Stoke. It seemed in a bit of trouble for a moment, but there were so many white shirts in defence. And Arsenal's throw. Very much as though Graham was pulled down by law, but referee Partridge has let it go on. Ritchie now. And Barrow sticking with him, and Arsenal's throw. Story to lift it again into that Stoke penalty area. Graham going in. Oh, and Banks grabbing it down by the post from George Graham's header. Burrows. And Samuels. And obstruction. Been Pejic with it. And Green off to chase it. Rice instead to Simpson. And a foul by Green off on Rice. Stoke now something like 2.5 minutes away from Wembley, from their first ever cup final. McClintock. Rice. McClintock. Samuels. To look for George Graham. Oh, and Arsenal slow to react to that one. And Bloor wasn't. Safety first for him. Right into that stand on the far side. Rice. Smith to put it behind, but in fact the whistle had gone for offside against George Graham. And now 2 minutes left. Back with Banks. Rice trying desperately to get that ball before it goes out of play. McClintock to Radford. In turn to Armstrong, who will run and fight forever. But now he's got a little over a minute left. Radford to Armstrong. McNabb's gone down the left for him. Conroy is covering. McNabb getting it across, and Smith full length to put it behind for the corner. 1 minute now to go, and not many more chances for the Arsenal to make something of it. Armstrong with it, and almost the entire Arsenal side in that Stoke penalty area, including Simpson. But the whistle had gone. It must have been a foul on Banks as that one came across. And behind that goal there, the Stoke supporters really jumping for joy, because they know that if their side can hold out for a minute or more, then they've also qualified for a trip to Wembley for the final. Banks with the kick for Stoke City. Story in on it. Radford looking for it with his head. Arsenal desperate for searching out this ball. Down goes Graham, and a free kick to the Arsenal. I think Samuels, Burrows and Pejic have heard it. Just as everybody goes forward as we go now into injury time, so every Stoke player has come back. Armstrong wanted to take it quickly. The wall won't get away 10 yards. And Armstrong saying, how can I take it quickly with the referee standing over it? Now he can take it. Armstrong going in, or rather Graham going in. Samuels with a shot. And another flick, and it's wide, and a corner. And again, Banks having it out with the referee. I've never seen Gordon Banks argue as much as he's argued this afternoon. We've now played 45 seconds. Armstrong takes this last gasp corner for the Arsenal. Everybody up! Was it a penalty? It's a penalty! Because responsibility. Story, who has scored in 4 penalties, now faces Gordon Banks, the #1 goalkeeper in the world, and there are Arsenal players who dare not watch. Story versus Banks, Wembley at stake, and he's done it! Story has equalised! Reprieve with almost the very last kick. Two goals to Story, 2 goals to the Arsenal, and Stoke are shattered. An Arsenal fan on the field, but McNabb is shooing him off. He wants to get on with it and look for the winner now. Conroy. Suddenly it's the crowd at the other end of the ground who've erupted, and the Stoke supporters have gone silent. Kennedy. What a tremendous achievement by Story. And McClintock now. And now Mahoney with a great shot just over. Mahoney just over. The real ice-cool brain of Peter Story has pulled Arsenal out of trouble. 2 goals, 1 blinding shot and 1 ice-cool penalty. And we've now played 3 minutes of injury time. Graham, and now Armstrong, and Kennedy off in pursuit, and Bloor is slower. Now Kennedy, can he do it? Banks has lost it. Can Armstrong turn it back? A corner. And it's all over. And so they've got to do it all again at Villa Park on Wednesday night. Tremendous climax to this really gripping cup tie, a semi-final, and a place at Wembley still in the balance. With Smith and Ritchie having scored for Stoke in the first half, and Peter Story, the 2 for Arsenal in the second half. So the final score of this semi-final is Stoke City 2, Arsenal 2.
So 1971 proved to be a disappointing year. But 12 months later, City once again found the Gunners standing in their way of an historic Wembley double, following a League Cup final victory over Chelsea. On their way to the semi-finals this year, Stoke swept aside Chesterfield, Tranmere and Hull City before ending the cup dreams of Manchester United following a replay. This time, the action switches to Villa Park.
In an FA Cup semi-final, a bright day in Birmingham, but a blustery win to add to all the other imponderables, and a repetition of last year's semi-final. For this one, Arsenal have sprung a late surprise. At 1 o'clock, they told fullback Bob McNabb that he'd be in for his first game since he received a pelvic injury in January. John Radford is at 10 in place of Ray Kennedy. McNabb has had only 3 reserve games since his injury, and he still had to take pain-killing tablets to get himself into this one. As for Stoke City, a big blow for them. Their team lineup shows Terry Conroy, a star in the League Cup final against Chelsea, still not fit. So they play cautiously with the defender Eric Skeels in a number 7 shirt. Alex Elder is at 3 in place of the suspended Mike Pedgick. Referee Keith Walker, Ashford in Kent. The crowd, 56,000, paying receipts of 66,000.
Right, get us away. It's the cruelest of afternoons in the season, an afternoon that plays havoc with the nerves of players and supporters alike, with Wembley so close. Charlie George now, and into leaving it instead to Greenoff, to Eric Skeels, in for Terry Conroy and George Easton. And the challenge by Story was far too harsh on Eastham, and Keith Walker having a word with Peter Story. Story, of course, the man who would remember the semi-final last season at Hillsborough so well with those two vital goals for Arsenal. But now it's a free kick, and Alex Elder played in the cup final for Burnley 10 years ago against Spurs when they Spurs won. Elder with the free kick, caught on the wind. Simpson down to Graham. And now McNabb, his first touch since January in the first team. And the throw to Arsenal. Graham. Of course, after the draw at Hillsborough, that dramatic one, it was here at Villa Park that Arsenal won, and that from Dennis Smith looked for a moment as though it might not carry to Banks. Graham with the head. Marsh going in, very forthright fashion indeed. McNabb. The route back to Wilson cut off by Greenough, and so it's Armstrong now. Graham. Alan Bloor, this big bluff defender, finding Greenough. And a lovely ball by Greenough to Eastham, lurking on the far side. In fact, and very near. What a clever piece of play, and Wilson is hurt. He's caught his nose on the ball. Was always causing him trouble in the air. Brilliantly and intelligently put there by George Eastham. Wilson on his feet. Bruise on the nose, no doubt, but he's got to face pressure now. Eastham to curl a corner under that Arsenal crossbar again, and Wilson got it and lost it and got it again. Wilson having difficulty finding anything like the halfway line against the breeze. Charlie George going in. George Graham. Nice bit of skills there in a very tight situation by George Graham, but a throw to Stoke City. Very muddled start, particularly by the team, incapable at the moment of finding each other and stringing a few 10 passes together. Graham up well. And now Bernard. Greenough, very alert and very alive up front at Eastham. McClintock, short one to Armstrong. McClintock again. Charlie George going down, taken by Bloor, and the referee is feeling for his book. Keith Walker feeling for the book, and Alan Bloor is going to be booked with only 6.5 minutes gone, and Charlie George still on the ground injured. George all right, and Arsenal getting on with it. Armstrong. Charlie George taking it well, but couldn't quite take the challenge from Bloor. Bernard. Ritchie. And Rice. Combination of Rice and Story is formidable indeed. Winning the ball for Arsenal. George Graham. Simpson. Rice. Oh, he's got past Elder. And a free kick here, and Elder bringing him down. Arsenal's free kick. As Rice drew back that right foot to cross the ball. It'll be Armstrong to chip it. Simpson's made a break. George Graham going in with a head. Straight against Wolves last week. And the challenge is fierce. And the linesman giving quite clearly the throw to Stoke City. Ball unhappy. Kick rather to Stoke. McClintock. Oh, that bounced back for Ritchie and not quite for Greenough. Story. Feet were a little high there. And Bernard. And the scuffle is on. They're after Bernard, and Keith Walker is in there too. And the feelings really are running high in this cup semi-final. And it will be so much better for everybody to cool down. And Keith Certainly when an Arsenal player is trying five who really spring to his defence. Skills. Mr. Dennis Radford for Arsenal. The little chip through, and that was handball by Smith, and it's a free kick for Arsenal. Keith Walker is going to book Dennis Smith for deliberately handling the ball. He booked Smith last week against Leeds United. So Smith's name goes in. Charlie George. Radford. Ball. And Armstrong couldn't get to it. Now McNabb, it's calling for the chip. And he's given it. Elder, in fact, who got ahead to that one. Charlie George turning it back again. Rice. Smith and Charlie George, and Smith is his game. Play on, says the referee. Charlie George, the flick back again, Alan Ball. Oh, just wide. Played back deliciously there by Charlie George, and it bobbled a fraction before Ball hit it, when really Banks had no chance. Banks spotting Dobing. What a good and intelligent goal kick. Elder. Towards Green. They've let him go. And a shot by Greenoff, and a marvellous save by Wilson. Greenoff holds his head. He was ready to shout goal with all the Stoke supporters. But somehow Wilson got a hand to it. A wonderful save, and a corner now for Stoke. Easton with it. Charlie George off the top of his head though. Simpson not getting it properly away. And a shot by Bernard that is wide. After that scare in the first minute, Wilson has had little enough to do. But that really was a superlative save there by the Arsenal goalkeeper, keeping it at 0-0 with 5 minutes to go to half-time. Ball. George Graham. To Bob McNabb. And offside against Radford. Complaining bitterly there to linesman Vincent James of York. But I would suggest that he's a very experienced referee who at least knows what offside is all about. Banks with the kick. Easton, the linesman flanking on the far side. Play on, says Keith Walker. And now Alan Ball. Harassed by Bernard in the free kick. Stoke supporters indignant, I think, that Alan Ball fell there. But now Ball again. To Rice. Little enough time now left at the end of the first half, and still Pat Rice played for Alan Ball, and first time across the goal. Armstrong. Played back again. What a good piece of play by Armstrong to Graham. Smith to nod this one away. Story to go in. Left foot. Oh, and across the goal and behind. And Banks didn't quite get a hand to it. Story, who whacked one from a similar position this side of the penalty area, that produced the first goal at Hillsborough in the semi-final last season, really caught that one too. Banks then with the goal kick. As the whistle goes for half-time, no goals, a lot of good football. Arsenal have had rather the better of it, and yet it's taken one tremendous save by Wilson to keep the score sheet blank. So we come to a half-time situation in this FA Cup semi-final at Villa Park. Stoke City 0, Arsenal 0. Welcome back as Stoke City get us away at the start of the second half. Stoke, of course, will now be facing this considerable breeze. Arsenal will have it at their backs. No goals, and Gordon Banks for Stoke. McClintock recovering well. Dobing. And a foul there on Dobing by George Graham. No, the other way about, given in fact to Arsenal. And Simpson to play it back to Bob Wilson. And Frank McClintock, having come onto the field at the start of the second half and made it quite clear to the Arsenal supporters they wanted as much encouragement as they could get, getting it there with that famous old Arsenal song, and now it's with Charlie George. Ball. Tried it, delicate little 1-2 there, but Elder for Stoke, but it's Arsenal's throw. Armstrong, ball. Down he goes, it's got to be a free kick, given against Elder. Chance now for Arsenal to turn a dangerous little free kick into that packed Stoke penalty area, catch the breeze with it, but it's Gordon Banks on the end of it again for Stoke. Mike Bernard to Jimmy Greenoff. Bernard again. The pitch fairly firm, but taking a start in very good nick, in fact. And now Charlie George with Bradford in the middle. Bradford is outnumbered, still Charlie George. And really it wanted the cross, and it's not away yet. Armstrong hitting one, and a goal! George Armstrong! Arsenal ahead! And little George Armstrong has done it! Only his 5th goal of the season! George Armstrong, who has not scored in the last 18 games, has got a vital first goal for Arsenal, and Banks couldn't reach it. Dobing and Story planted forward. George wasn't going for it. And behind that Stoke goal, the Arsenal supporters are beside themselves. Again, difficult as it was for the Stoke defenders in the first half, so it was for Simpson there to judge those high balls caught on the wind without giving the opposing forward a little nudge. So it's Bloor with a free kick for Stoke. Wilson's got to come for this one, and he almost missed it. And Wilson is still down, and ball gets it away for Graham. Arsenal's throw, and Wilson is down on the deck in his own 6-yard area and seems to be in a fair bit of pain. He's not a player who is likely to con anyone. Could well be quite genuinely hurt there. Stoke City substitute Harry Burrows beginning to warm up. So Wilson all right. And it'll be a throw on the far side of the field to Arsenal. Another throw for Arsenal. Radford to hurl a long one to put Stoke under more pressure, but in fact he saw Simpson. Good bit of skill there by Simpson. George couldn't get ahead to it, neither could Smith. And now Doby. When he got in finally, Charlie George, he waited for his moment and found the right one. And now Armstrong. Saw Radford on the far side, but his aim was way out. Easton. The flick to Bernard. And now Easton. I would think with Stoke needing to put more power in attack, that when they bring Burrows on, it'll be a defender who comes off. It might well be Skeels. Elder. Men calling for it deep. There's Ritchie, but the head of Simpson again. Easton. The shot through a crowd of players, but the weight taken off it by an Arsenal defender. And Wilson really is suffering every time he moves. And still not halfway through this half. Could be a critical time for Bob Wilson and for Arsenal. And Burrows wants to come on for Stoke, the substitute. And in fact, it looks as though it's Mike Bernard who's coming off. And at the same time, Ray Kennedy warming up for Arsenal. Actually at the goalpost there, Bertie Mee also coming on to have a word. And it could well be a very dramatic situation where Wilson has to go off. No, it looks as though they're putting a bandage there, somehow or other, to prop him up and keep him in this cup semi-final. Situation that really could be make or break for Arsenal. Bertie Mee, of course, himself a fine physiotherapist, going around to see what he could do with Bob Wilson's knee. Heavy strapping. Now on with the game again. Graham. Arsenal obviously would desperately like a second goal as an insurance now, with Wilson just that little bit suspect at the back. Ball. Smith away. Story. Arsenal in defence really must protect Wilson now as much as they possibly can. Scales. Smith laying it off now for Elder. Ball. Story, a bobbling ball, but he controlled that well to give Radford half a chance. And it's a corner for Arsenal, off Dennis Smith. Dennis Smith got to do a defensive job now as Armstrong takes this corner for Arsenal. Radford getting to it with his head. Stoke taking it up again with John Marsh. Greenough. They've got to pressurise this Arsenal defence now. Dobing and Radford right back to do a job at the back. The pressure now really beginning to build up on Arsenal. Eastham with Dobing, the sort of man to prod and probe the weak points. And Wilson goes in, and Smith has got there. Dennis Smith has equalised. And in fact, it was the pass by Eastham. Wilson was hobbling, couldn't get to it. And when you come from the Potteries, it's the moment you've come to see. It's going to call for a lot of courage and character from Arsenal now, and for a lot of protection for the crippled Wilson. 1-1. Ritchie. It surely will spur Stoke now. Law thought about passing it back. And now Elder. A long ball forward, McClintock at the end, straining there to get to it. Rice. McNabb. Radford. That little terrier Armstrong couldn't get to that one. Elder. Eastham. And now Skeels. Dobing. And Greenoff. Towards Ritchie, McClintock doing the protecting job there. McNabb. Greenoff. Ritchie. And now Burrows. The ball there, nice ball there to Greenoff. An obstruction and a free kick for Stoke in the area. No penalty, and it couldn't have been. It was obstruction by Arsenal. And Story is giving Wilson some stick, and Wilson is giving Story some stick, and Arsenal for the moment in a little bit of disarray. Four men in the Arsenal wall. It's all building up against Arsenal. Eastham to prod and to probe again. The little chip by Eastham. Wilson bravely getting a fist. Skeels going down. And Wilson down so bravely as the ticker tape goes across Villa Park. And Wilson down again. Whether he was put there by Ritchie, I don't know. He's getting to his feet again. He can hardly walk. Eastham. In for Dobing. No, against the post. Greenoff, no. And Wilson cannot go on. He is appealing in vain to the bench to come off. And I think they have got to take Bob Wilson off. He is utterly and completely crippled, and the woodwork came to Arsenal's rescue there. It looks as though it's Radford who's going to go into goal. Well, the out players very often fancy themselves in goal, and I wonder what Radford would feel about a situation now. A semi-final of the Cup, the game standing level with everything to play for, and Wilson, a sad and a crucial moment for Arsenal. Kennedy, the substitute, is on. Well, these two sides, when they met at Hillsborough last year, had drama all the way with that final penalty. And now John Radford, in goal for Arsenal, gives another touch. So Wilson being led off. Radford with his goal kick. to put money on it now, you would have to put your money on Stoke. Greenoff, Dobing, all the touches are there now. Eastham couldn't quite make it though. Ball, his industry is going to be needed, and so too is Armstrong's. And away goes Charlie George. Smith, now Kennedy. But it's a corner. A pity for Arsenal, Kennedy couldn't make contact properly. Armstrong to take it. A deep one, and Banks is there, challenged by Graham, and a free kick to Stoke. Banks, whose kicking hasn't been all that it might have been, particularly in this wind. Ball. George, a lot of Arsenal players are up now. Ball couldn't get back to it though. George Graham. Ball to Skills. Sweeping out there towards Ritchie. But McNabb again there for Arsenal. Following it through well, Bob McNabb. Marsh. And again McNabb getting in the way. Oh, he took a few yards there, I would have thought, with that throw. Greenoff. Eastham. And play on, says the linesman on the far side. Dobing was not offside. Greenoff back to Marsh. Eastham playing with the ball there, making very little progress. But the throw to Stoke. Dennis Smith has gone right up again. Kennedy's header getting it away, only as far as Dobing, right back there again. And now Burrows. Rice coming out quickly, flicked across again, and nodded away this time. Now Skeels, and now Dobing. And Arsenal hurling themselves at it. McClintock. And finally it's McClintock who gets it away. Those Arsenal defenders literally hurling themselves at Stoke players, and McClintock setting the right example, getting it away. And a free kick to Stoke, and Marsh and McNabb mixing it a little bit. It'll be Marsh with the kick. 3 minutes plus injury time left. Oh, Greenoff! Oh, he's saved that well, Radford. Smith turning it across and behind. Good play by Radford. Smith shot that went behind, but Radford was the hero in that situation. Ball tugging at the shirt of Ritchie. And Ball looks as though he's going to be booked. Well, he was clearly tugging at Ritchie's shirt. And the name of Alan Ball putting his arms around Keith Walker's neck. It'll make no difference, that name goes in the book. And Stoke get a free kick in these last crucial moments of a great semi-final. Every Arsenal player is back, and it's Kennedy who got it away. Armstrong who helped it on its way. Charlie George. Burrows. And out comes Radford to grab it again. Well, that's the only man who knows how much longer we've got to go. It can only be a few seconds. And now Marsh. Maybe the last crisis for Arsenal, and an obstruction by Story. And Story having a word with the linesman, which is not to be recommended. For Arsenal, it's got to be everybody back and everybody defend what could be the last crisis. It's Eastham for Stoke, curling it in again. And down goes Radford again. From Smith. Oh, and he lost a valuable ball there, George Armstrong. McClintock with his head towards Story. Now Green off to Ritchie. This could be very dangerous for Arsenal. Ball back to challenge though. And a free kick given to Stoke. Ball unhappy about it. So are the rest of the Arsenal players. But the situation is clear. That it is still a difficult little last moment for Arsenal. Burrows and Marsh are poised behind it. And every white shirt practically is up there. Burrows to hit one, but straight at the wall. Elder, and before he can put it back, the whistle has gone. And Arsenal have survived for a Cup semi-final here at Villa. Ends with the goal line. Stoke City 1, Arsenal 1.